Here we go. Now, if you guys came here to this show tonight thinking that I'm going to make fun of those people again, you've come to the wrong show. I'm not fucking with those people anymore. It wasn't worth the trouble. I ain't saying shit about trans people. Maybe 3 or 4 times a night, but that is it. Tired of talking about them. And you want to know why I'm tired of talking about them? Because these people acted like I needed them to be funny. Well, that's ridiculous. I don't need you. I got a whole new angle. You guys will never see this shit coming. I ain't doing trans jokes no more. You know what I'm gonna do tonight? Tonight, I'm doing your own handicap jokes. Well, they're not as organized as the gays. And I love punching down. There's probably a handicap in the back right now because that's where they usually make them sit. I came here to laugh at transgender people. I didn't know this nigga was gonna make jokes about us. Come on, y'all, let's get the fuck up out of here. Yeah, it's about time somebody let these handicaps have it. They done met their match tonight. Fuck them. One time I was on Capitol Hill, and I seen a handicapped congressman. Madison Cawthorn, that's his name. He's a Republican from North Carolina. And he was shocked because I saw him and I go, hello, Congressman. He didn't even know I knew who he was. He turned around. Then I just walked away. I wanted him to see me do something he couldn't do. I skipped. That nigga was mad. He's no longer a congressman. I don't know if you follow politics. I'm not trying to be funny, but he lost his seat. He ran a bad race. Oh, buddy, yes, he did. And you know what he did wrong? He was running for Congress again, and this motherfucker tried to be controversial. He was on all them right-wing podcasts talking all that shit. He was like, Washington is worse than Hollywood. I was at home like, what? He said, these people are disgusting. They have orgies and sex parties and drug parties. And I was thinking, this nigga sounds like Juicy Smouye. He's lying. Now, I don't doubt that they do this kind of shit in Washington. But I doubt he's seen it with his own eyes. Because who the fuck invites a paraplegic to an orgy? So this nigga can roll around and snitch on everybody. I said, there's only one reason you're gonna invite him to an orgy. And you know what that is. Have at it, guys. I can't feel anything. Let's get this bill passed for America. One at a time, folks. Oh, buddy. Yep. Yeah, the handicaps are the new people I punch down on. To be honest with you, I've been trying to repair my relationship with the transgender community because I don't want them to think that I don't like them. And you know how I've been repairing it? I wrote a play. I did, because I know that gays love plays. It's a very sad play, but it's moving. It's about a black transgender woman whose pronoun is sadly nigger. It's a tearjerker. At the end of the play, she dies of loneliness because white liberals don't know how to speak to her. Sad. Speaking of nigger, I've also been working on a book, and this is true. I'm rewriting the American classic, Huckleberry Finn, from Nigger Jim's perspective. It's called The Adventures of Nigger Jim. That's how the book starts. Huckleberry Finn walks up to him and goes, "So you're Nigger Jim?" And he's like, "Yo, I just said Jim." "What's your name, little buddy?" "Huckleberry Finn's my name." "What? Huckleberry? That's your real name?" "God-given." "You know what? Just call me Nigger Jim. It's fine." I don't care if you are black or white or whatever. If you ever meet a white person named Huckleberry, he has less money than you. That is the white, trashiest name I've ever heard in my fucking life. If you have a name like Huckleberry, you're doomed to fail. If I was in court and my lawyer came up and was like, "I am your attorney, Huckleberry Finn," I'd be like, "Uh-oh, I'm going to jail." God forbid I ever go to jail. But if I do, I hope it's in California. Because as soon as the judge sentenced me, I'll be like, "Your Honor, before you sentenced me, I just went to court to know I identify as a woman. Send me to women's jail." And as soon as I get in there, you know what I'm gonna be doing? "Give me a fruit cocktail, bitch, before I knock your motherfucking teeth out. I'm a girl just like you, bitch. Come over here and suck this girl dick I got. Don't make me explain myself. I'm a girl." You know, I have a great reputation in show business, but in comedy, I'm what's known as a lazy comedian, which is crazy because I work all the time, but that's not why they call me lazy. They call me lazy because I'll do shows sometimes, 20,000 people be in the crowd, and I'll tell a joke, and they'll all look at me like I'm crazy, but 3 or 4 people will laugh really hard, and I'll be on stage like, "Yeah, that's good enough." Well, this next joke is one of those jokes that it's not, you know what I mean? I like to tell it, but it never does good. But I'm gonna do it. You know why it doesn't do good? I'm not good at impressions, but this is an impression. You ready? Okay. This is not gonna work. All right, this is my impression. It's my impression of the dead people on the Titanic. You didn't let me finish. This is my impression of the dead people on the Titanic as the submersible was approaching their ship. That's good enough. All right, here it goes. Me. Will you guys shut the fuck up? I'm just kidding. That's my family in the back. That's why I did that. Children and stuff. Anyway, this is weird and less than ideal. Tell you another story. Now I'm 18 years old. I'm living in New York City, and I just finished my first road tour, which was a very difficult tour. I'll spare you the details. Now I'm back in New York, but my rent is paid, thank God. And I have $60 to my name, and a woman that I had met in Pittsburgh, a bad Dominican bitch, was coming to New York. She was going to spend the weekend with me. I couldn't wait for her to get there. She was coming that evening. But remember, I only had $60 for a whole weekend to entertain a bad bitch. Now I'm walking through Greenwich Village, and I see something I've never seen before. 3-card Monte. You know what that is? Yeah, the guy had the whole thing. The table was set up, and he had the 3 cards, and the crowd was hooting and hollering, and he was like, find the red card, find the red card. And people were playing. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose, but it was really exciting, and I'm standing there watching it, and I noticed while I'm watching them play this game that the red card, the one you're trying to find, had just a little bend on the corner. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, yo, this guy doesn't seem to know that red card is bent. I'm going to beat this motherfucker. And I walked up to the table, and I said, let me play a hand. And I put my last $60 on that table, and he starts to shuffle and find the red card, find the red card. And I kept watching that bent card go around the table, make sure I kept my eyes on that bent card. And when he stopped shuffling, and he said, find the red card, I pointed to it with confidence. Here it is right here. And he flipped it over, and it was black. And he took my money. I couldn't fucking believe that. How did this nigga do that? Was that magic or sorcery? I was confused. So you know what I did? I sat there, and I watched him for a real long time play the game. And I realized that all those people who was doing all that hooting and hollering and betting, my God, they were his friends. They were in on the whole thing. I felt so wronged. I felt so stupid. And then the next sucker came up to the table and was about to put his money down. And I said, fuck that, man. Don't put your money there. All these niggas is in on it. It's a trick. And when I said that, the guy that was dealing, and this motherfucker was huge, snatched me up by my collar. Feel how strong he was when he grabbed me. I was a skinny little guy. And he was going to maul me. And the only reason he didn't, I'm sure, is because he saw the fear in my face. And that fear, he looked at me. I saw his eyes go from hard to soft. He softened. Then he looked at me like the way a father would look at a child. And he said to me, young man, don't ever come between a man and his meal. I never forgot that either. Most niggas would have to run the streets for years to learn a lesson that profound. It took me 2 seconds. Never get between somebody and their paper. Taking a man's livelihood away from him is akin to killing him. Now it's their turn. This is their first nigga lesson, and I'm honored to give it to them. They're going to pay me for this show. I called my agent. I said, is there anything I can do about this show? And he said, no. Well, fuck you too then. If you want something done right, I guess you got to do it yourself. So I'm not going to the agents. I'm coming to my real boss. I'm coming to you. I'm begging you. If you ever liked me, if you ever think there was anything worthwhile about me, I'm begging you, please don't watch that show. I'm not asking you to boycott any network. Boycott me. Boycott Chappelle's show. Do not watch it unless they pay me. If you're a shareholder at Viacom, then I'm talking to you. Because all that shit that they do to us, well, they do everything for their shareholders. That's what they told me. So if you're a shareholder in that company, tell them it's wrong. And if you don't believe that it's wrong, then fuck you too. You should know what's in the hot dogs you eat. Now, there's probably a bunch of people at Comedy Central and Viacom and all these places that have no idea what I'm talking about. They've all either quit or been fired or got Me Too'd or something. Them niggas is gone. And there's a whole bunch of new young people there, and they're probably looking like, what is he talking about? They may not actually know what the fuck happened to me. So I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Go downstairs to your accounting department, open the books, see what that show made, and look at what you paid me. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to pay me. I am inviting you to come with me and work with me. And let's fight against that terrible, terrible feeling that you made me feel together. We can fight together and work this thing with Chappelle Show out. Or I can just take it. Thank you. Though it's not funny because after all that madness ensued, I went to the hotel room. I was by myself and I opened the door and my wife was in there alone. She was sobbing, like sobbing. I said, oh my God, what's wrong with you, bitch? Did you get attacked too? And she's crying. She said, oh my God, David. She said, if you had died tonight, me and the kids would have nothing. Then I knew it was serious. So I sat down on the bed next to her. And I reached in my pocket, I pulled some keys out that she'd never seen before. She said, oh, what are those keys? And I gently placed them in her hands. I said, sweetheart, those are the keys to my safe deposit box. God forbid anything ever happen to me. But if it does, don't even worry about it. You and the kids have everything you need in that box. I've already taken care of it. And she was looking at them keys, and I could see her mind realize what we were actually talking about. And then she just started crying harder. And to be honest with you, that made me cry a little bit too. And we hugged each other real tight. Do you know this bitch looked in the box while I'm alive and well? Who does that? Oh my God. And then she was mad at me. She said, God damn it, David, I opened that box. I said, you did? She said, yes, I did. And there was nothing in there. I said, nothing? Oh. She said, nothing except your stupid joke book. I said, whoosh. I said, well, sweetie, look. If you tell those jokes exactly how they're written, you and the kids should be fine. They're really good jokes. She's like, good jokes? What is this shit? Come join me in my watery grave. No, you gotta roll your throat. Join me in my watery grave. I've been married a long time. I have, man. You know, I talk a lot of shit about my wife, but I love her very much. In fact, you know, you guys wouldn't believe this about me. I'm a jealous husband. It's true. Yeah, let me tell you something. One time I thought my wife was cheating on me. Yes, nigga, yes. That was one of the worst days of my fucking life. I couldn't take it. And I'm embarrassed about it now, but I can talk about it. You know what I did? It's fucked up, but I did do this. I waited. I waited for her to fall asleep. And when I waited a long time, she's Asian. I couldn't tell if she was asleep or not. I was looking at her. And when I was sure she was asleep, you know what I did? I stole the iPhone, took it downstairs and started trying out passwords to see if I could open it. I couldn't figure out the password. Then I remembered it's iPhone. This shit has facial recognition. I was just like, oh. And that shit opened right up. And I saw a text message in there from a fella named Earl. I don't know anybody named Earl. I woke her up out of her sleep. I said, wake the fuck up. Who the fuck is Earl? And she said, David, what are you talking about? Oh, don't you play dumb with me, bitch. I done open your phone. Who is Earl? And she said, oh my God, David. That's gay Earl from the hair salon. I said, word, what am I, a dummy? How am I supposed to know this nigga is gay? And she was calm. She said, read his text and look at his pictures. I started reading the text. This fella sure does spell girl with a U a lot. And I switched over and looked at his pictures, and I couldn't believe it. This fella looked gay and still pictures. His mouth was open in every shot. And then I knew she was telling the truth. And then I felt like dumb. I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Here, take your phone. I'm sorry, just go back to sleep. I'm sorry, I guess I just been insecure because all this cheating I've been doing. Good night. And she didn't let me leave. She said, well, since you want to wake a bitch up, and then she pulled my phone from under her pillow. I said, what the fuck? She said, who is this bitch in this picture? I said, how'd you open that phone? She said, it was easy, nigga. All I had to do was mash my nose and go like this, and it opened right up. I said, what the fuck? When I see a fellow dreamer, I give them my utmost respect. Even if I don't understand what their dream is. I know a dreamer when I see one. And I've met many powerful dreamers in my life. None more powerful than a man who calls himself Little Nas X. I met this nigga at a party. I had no idea who he was. But the minute he walked in that party, I knew I was in his dream. Everybody in the party was another dreamer. Everyone was famous, but when that nigga walked in, he was dressed like C-3PO. He was shining. And everyone was like, oh my God, there he is. This is Lil Nas X. I didn't know who he was. And for some reason, out of all them dreamers, he walked right up to me. And he said, I tried to get you in my video. I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. I said, what? I said, what? What video? And he just looked at me like, you know what video, and walked away. And I watched him walk away. I said, man, this nigga's having a very powerful dream. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when we was in grade school. Remember in grade school, the teacher would ask everybody what they want to be? Timmy, what do you want to be when you grow up? And Timmy acted like he had an idea. He'd stand up, he'd say, I want to be a fireman. And the teacher would say, Timmy, that is a beautiful dream. But Timmy didn't mean it. Timmy said he wanted to be a fireman because deep down, Timmy's attracted to fire. And by the time he's 14 years old, this nigga's a full-blown pyromaniac, playing with kerosene and matches like a goddamn expert. And then one night he goes downtown with his buddies, fucking around with fire, and burns a warehouse down. And he doesn't know it, but there's 13 migrant workers from El Salvador, and they're in that motherfucker. They get trapped, and then they die in the fire. Isn't that a tragedy? It was an accident. He's only 14 years old, but he's black. So they try him as an adult. And Timmy ends up spending the rest of his life in jail. Dream deferred. Burp, burp. What about you, Billy? Billy, what do you want to be when you grow up? And Billy stands up and he says, I want to be president of the United States. And the teacher says, oh my God, Billy, that is a wonderful dream. And Billy means that shit. Billy does everything right. That motherfucker gets his grades up. He joins student government. He even does extracurricular activities like show choir just to make his resume look good. He's on track to be president, but junior year he wipes. When he's 16, he gets his girlfriend pregnant and has to drop out of high school to make ends meet. But lucky for him, the local Walmart's hiring. By the time he's 20 years old, this motherfucker makes assistant manager at Walmart. He's the youngest one in the district. He says, oh my God, if I can keep this up for 4 more years, I could be a manager. And if I can keep this up for 6 more years after that, I could even be a regional manager and have as many as 3 Walmarts under my control. And he's a big picture guy. He sees where this path is going, so he kills himself. Well, what about you? What do you want to be when you grow up? I don't want to say, because I don't want the other kids to laugh at me. Who cares if they laugh? Your dream is yours. Own your dream so they can come true. Say it loud and proud. What do you want to be when you grow up? Little Nas X. And that nigga stood up in front of the whole class. I want to be the gayest nigga that ever lived. I want to do a music video and slide down a stripper pole all the way to the depths of hell and suck the devil's dick at 10 o'clock on BET while all the kids are awake and can see me. Shockingly, that was the only dream that worked out. That's why I'm here tonight in the city where I built the dreams that I live, because I wanted to tell you all that they came true. And I wanted to thank you all for making the man that I am today. Yes, I am living a very powerful dream. Every time I come to this city and I stand in front of you, I realize that, my God, man, this is not my dream. I like this guy. He's pretty funny. Time magazine released an article about Bill Cosby. The headline said, 50 funny and filthy rich. And I read that article, and it was when I was looking at his face before all that disgrace that I looked and I said, I could do that. I told my father, and my father said, well, then just do it. That's why I wouldn't even know where to start. And he said, well, look in the phone book. It's before the internet, if you're young. We used to have a book with phone numbers in it of. My father found for me the local comedy club in Washington, D.C. I called him. I found out when open mic night was, and I started to go there on Tuesday nights, just watch. And then one night I went on a weekend. I would get my money together and I would go to this comedy club and I would just watch these comedians, and sometimes they would talk to me. And I told one of the comedians after a show one night, I said, man, I really want to try to do this. And he said, well, he said, if you want to be a good comedian, you should know how to act. I said, why? And he says, didn't explain it. I said, okay, and I told my parents, and this is how I came to find out about Duke Ellington, my mother. She said, there's a place you can go where you can learn to act right here in Washington. It's a high school. I said, you mean I would get out Eastern? School year was already in full swing, and Ellington has the policy that they don't let people just come to the middle of the year. But Linda Grabat, who was the head of the theater department at the time, very graciously took a meeting with me and my mother, and I get emotional begging about it. Anybody that went here, remember what it was first like? When you first walked through the door, and it was in the afternoon, and everyone was in their arts classes, and the girls had tutus on, and everyone was weird and walking around the hallway like you weren't sure anyone was supposed to be, and you could hear people practicing their horns and shit all through the hallways. There was art bouncing off the walls. The minute I walked to the door, there was a gallery of all these children's work, and these pictures were amazing. My first thought, when I walked in that door, not good enough to be here, for sure. Miss Grabat sat me down, she told me about the school, and you remember Miss Grabat, she was very businesslike, but also very warm. She was intimidating, palpably kind. She was a paradox of a human being. Gave me a date for an audition. And mother said, okay, Dave, it's on you. Now, those of you who know me know that I didn't prepare for that audition. That audition was like a possession. It was just something that I was proud to have. But as days got close, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get somebody together. I didn't even know how to do an audition. I'd never done it before. So I went, I said, what do I need? They said a monologue. So I looked up monologue. And I went to the library, the MLK library, this huge library, so I got to find something. And I found a piece, one of those yellow script books. It was a monologue by Mark Twain called Judge and Spirited Woman. I learned it in a night. It's hard for me to memorize things. The next day, it was Saturday, I think, and I came to the school, and they auditioned. What used to be just one of the original theater down at the School of the Arts. And all the department heads sat in here, your lights in your eyes, and there's a bunch of kids who already go to the school come on Saturday just to see who might be coming. I talked to all these kids before I went in, and these kids were nothing like the kids in these. They were like them, but they were different. They're weird, funny, self-deprecate, things like this. And I remember I came out on stage and I did my audition, and it was like I rose up in the beginning, started, I was waiting and I'm messing up, started again. Was nervous, scared, and in the middle of the audition, in the middle of the monologue, one of the teachers, Fred Leeds, he said, Fred Leeds, he goes, okay, that's enough. I said, well, there's still a little more. He goes, no, that is enough. He said. And I can't tell you, like, I was crushed. Without saying his disapproval, I knew it stunk. And I was right. When I walked in here, I knew I wasn't good enough to go to this school. And I thought to myself, fuck this school. That's stupid anyway. In first year theater, there's a question that they ask students from time to time. And it's a make or break question. And when you ask this question, you don't know. And the question is this. They say, why do you want to act? Now, if you say anything like, I want to be a star, you're not going to get in. I didn't know that. And I figured I already blew the audition, so I told him the truth. He said, why do you want to act? I don't. That's what I said. And they said, well, then why are you here? I said, because I want to be a comedian, and some comedian told me that if I want to be a good comedian, I need to learn how to act. And the teachers look at each other and go, thank you very much, and I left. And I was walking down the hallway, kicking rocks. There was a kid that already went here. His name was Aiko Handy. And Aiko said, hey, man, I listened to him talking about you. I said, he did? He said, you're in. I said, what? He said, you're in. Well, that didn't make any sense.